Hi everyone, in today's video we're going to be looking at something called freeze, so freeze tracks, which is a function in Logic Pro 10. And what it does is it basically converts your, and typically MIDI, converts your MIDI tracks into a temporary audio file. Now you might wonder why you want to do this, and really the main reason is to help save CPU, especially if you're working on a sort of laptop where you haven't got much RAM or storage, or whatever the case might be. And this is particularly useful, if you've got projects like I've got here, where you've got 50 odd tracks or however many it might be. So it's a really good thing. And if you're getting a lot of sort of system overload kind of warnings, give this a go. Now, first things first is what freeze track actually does. Is it takes a snapshot of the entire track. So if we take this lead track here, it will freeze it will create an audio file and freeze it in place. So convert all of this MIDI into an audio file, a temporary one, from the start of your project to the finish. So what you need to do is make sure that if you come over to the very end of the project, the end marker, make sure that is quite close to the end of the actual music that you've written. Otherwise you're going to end up with creating a temporary audio file of a lot of silence. So just make sure that this one is close to the end, like I've got it here, and you should be fine. Okay, so how do we actually get this freeze function up? So what you need to do is 2-finger click or right click on your channel strip, anyone's fine, and then you can come down to one of two things. So track header components, and you can come across, click on freeze, or you can come across to configure track header, and then you get the same thing here. So it's this one here, so freeze, and they've got a snowflake, just to make sure that you know that it's freezing. So okay, so yep, go ahead and click that one, so make sure it's ticked, and then you'll see this snowflake appear to the left of all of the record buttons. Then just click away anywhere. What you need to do is, no, you don't have to do this with every single track if you don't want to, right? If you still want to edit some MIDI, you can edit it whilst this is engaged, right? So what you need to do is, or what I'd suggest you do, is you freeze any tracks that you don't need to work on at the given time, and then you can continue editing the MIDI of a particular track. So let's say that I want to edit the MIDI in this lead track. I'd freeze everything else, and you can just click and drag, by the way, and then leave this one unfrozen, so it stays grayed out and green if it's frozen. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, when you press play next, whenever after clicking freeze, the first time you press play, it's then going to freeze all of these tracks. So create temporary audio files of all of your tracks. And it will do that the first time you play. So there we go, just like this. So it comes up with this freezing timer, and once that's complete, your tracks are frozen. And there you go. So I sped that up just a touch because it does take it can take a long time depending on how many tracks you've got. So this isn't something that I'd recommend that you keep unfreezing and freezing tracks all the time, because it is quite CPU intensive in itself. So maybe there's a slight irony there that it's reducing your CPU, but it's CPU intensive whilst you freeze the track. So yeah, there we go. That should help. The good news with this is you can still play around with the levels, the bus sends. So you can see down here, you can still play with the bus sends and the levels of those. Panning, all those kinds of things. But what you will notice is that the synth itself is not usable, and the any plugins on the actual channel strip are not usable. So if I go ahead and click on this EQ, it will say this plugins load as needed. So basically what it's saying is you need to unfreeze this track in order for this to work. So if we just do that really quickly, click back on the freeze, and then over here, everything is editable again. There we go. So yeah, hopefully this, if you are experiencing a lot of, overload There's this isn't necessarily going to be the fix all, and there's definitely a lot of different things you can do, but this is something that I found to be a really good one to help. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. And yeah, thanks for watching.